When I think of culture as a strategy for social change, not just preceding social change, I think of it as a different experience. So I feel like that culture is a glue that keeps us in the same conversation together.
There is nothing more powerful than words and images to create and shape attitudes and behavior.
It's really important to change the general attitude and the attitude of the people themselves as to what can be accomplished.
It just seems to me there's assault on the black man, imagery.
As we look at this black male reimagined, I think there's so many different layers of this conversation. And I think what's missing, and I think what we try to do, is put ourselves in a position where there's this almost contagious optimism that the probability of success is there at every level.
We have a situation where the young people have all these external forces telling them who you are. You got kind of like two different images. You know, if you're seeing a 6'6" black man on the basketball court, oh, he's friendly. He's Michael Jordan. You see that same 6'6" black man, 9 o'clock on 125th, you know, he's a killer automatically.
What does the black male look like? What do they assimilate to? What cultural drivers are they supposed to be buying into? How do they present themselves?
We have to come up with an aspirational idea of what we want the black male to be.
This is reality television. It is one of the dominant modes of television now for a variety of reasons, and the people who produce it openly say what we're looking for is stereotypes.
We have to allow for the self-construction, for the self-expression, so that we can see the myriad ways in which black males exist as human beings and not as stereotypes.
Black people, black men, but black people are phenomenal media consumers, phenomenal movie consumers, phenomenal.
We know that, but how come that doesn't translate?
It will translate. We just don't understand our power.
For the first time in our history, we are in a position to create our own images.
We have an ability with these artists and with these record companies and with these television stations to put forth to them whatever the community gives us.
Those of you who are in the business know the noise out there is fierce, right? I mean, you just are constantly competing with paid messaging that really wants to distract folk and get them thinking about something else.
Building a brand, particularly if a brand exists already, is a tough thing. Absolutely. And changing people's perceptions about that is tough, but it can be done.
I think that when you're talking about reimagining the black man, I think we got to start there with the product. We got to start with the black man himself and create real honest sort of stories about the success and the positive stories that exist out there.
The media is not broken. Television is not broken. It is doing what it's supposed to do, which is to disempower us and our families. They're not going to tell the stories I want to tell.
You know, we can tiptoe around the issue of racism or white supremacy, however we frame it, but it is at the crux of what we're trying to tackle within our structural institutions.
We cannot expect the media and people whose sole interest, not sole interest, but primary interest, is the bottom line, to be held responsible if we don't hold them responsible.
There are times where you can be a great journalist and a bad black man.
If somebody's always pointing you, as black reporter, to go to Harlem and find a drug dealer, and that is the truth that they keep pointing you at, then all the other truths see no light.
We can have all the resources that we want around this issue of reframing issues, improving the life outcomes of black men and boys. We can have the resources, but if those resources do not come with a literal renaissance and revival of hearts and minds on the community level, also on the policy level, that all those resources will not mean a thing.
Nothing really changes until we're able to not just fund things, but also influence people to see things in a different way, challenge people to participate in their communities in a different way.
Instead of saying, you're wrong for that, and that's it, you should say, you're wrong for that, but what's our solution? What are we going to do?
It's funny, when you put a young person in front of a responsible adult, you start to feel like while you're listening to something and you're looking at this young person, you could do something about it, you're trying to figure out what can you do.
We got a lot of work ahead of us, a lot of work to do.
But I do think that what we have in our hands right now is a different world, because in fact we can connect to communities like we've never had before, never been able to do before. And in doing that, we can create links between those communities, and technology allows us to do that. But I do believe that one thing we've talked about a lot today, and something I care deeply about, and it's been a big part of my life, is that storytelling can really do that. It can be that big doorway where in fact you move people to a place where not only do they understand what you're asking them to take on, but you can move them to a point where they want to be actively involved in doing it, if you do it right.
Okay, knowledge is the key, but show me the lock. I got the scrawny legs, but I move just like Lou Brock with speed. I'm agile, plus I'm worth your while, 100% intelligent black child. You know, I heard that when I was like 15 or 16 years old as an athlete, and for most of my life I always thought I had to be an athlete. And hearing those words over and over again had a profound impact on my life, and I just want to say thanks.
I've become convinced that we are going to win, and this is the moment to actually win. And I think it's more than wishful thinking.